Good morning. This is Roger Erickson with the National Weather Service in Lake Charles with our Tropical Storm Harvey update for 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, August 29th. We're going to go through our slideshow this morning. Here's the latest update on Harvey. Harvey is still a weak tropical storm. It's moving northeast now towards the southwest Louisiana coastline with a projection for landfall Wednesday morning to maybe midday, somewhere in Cameron Parish. Still, it's just a tropical storm. So the major storyline here is still going to be the heavy rain and dangerous flood threat, especially in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana. Storm totals are approaching the 30 to 45 inch range by the time this is all over with in southeast Texas. Now, the system's not expected to strengthen wind-wise. However, due to this track forecast, we do have a tropical storm warning in effect now for Jefferson County in southeast Texas. And in Louisiana, it's in effect for Cameron, Vermilion, Iberia, and St. Mary parishes. So what we're expecting from the wind perspective, wind gusts in the 30 to 45 mile range is possible near the coast in this warning area that we just listed here, especially starting tonight into Wednesday morning. Now, further inland along the I-10 corridor of southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, I would expect to see wind gusts in the 25 to 35 mile range today through Wednesday, and it will probably go further inland depending on the track of where Harvey goes into central Louisiana during the daytime on Wednesday. The storm surge values are the same that we've been talking about the last couple of days, 1 to 3 feet above ground level. We still have a storm surge watch out in effect for Jefferson County, Cameron, Vermilion, Iberia, and St. Mary parishes. The timing of when the highest water levels will be in the area will be during the high tides over the next couple of days. So we are starting to get closer to the end of the tunnel of all this rain that we've been seeing. We're down now to 6 to 12 inches of rain for southeast Texas. In addition, for today and tomorrow, 4 to 8 inches for southwest Louisiana, 3 to 6 inches in south central Louisiana, and 3 to 6 inches in central Louisiana. But the caveat here, there's still potential for higher rain totals across the entire region, depending on where the rain bands actually develop over the next 36 to 48 hours. We're forecasting record river flooding for Pine Island Bayou at Sour Lake and Bevel Oaks. And we'll talk more specifics on that here in a little while. Major flooding forecasted for Village Creek at Coons, the Neches River at Saltwater Berry and Beaumont, Bundick Creek near Bundick Lake, Calcasieu River at Old Town Bay, Bayanipique near Basile, and the Mermentau near Mermentau. And there'll be an isolated threat for tornadoes today and tomorrow. So here's the latest satellite imagery of Harvey. It's slowly moving towards our region now. There you can see the big band of convection or thunderstorms in southeast Texas from the Beaumont to Houston area. That's wrapped around there. And a dry spot that you see over the Gulf of Mexico south of the southwest Louisiana coastline. However, as the wind is blowing near the coastline, it actually enhances a convergence zone for thunderstorms to develop down from Cameron, Vermilion, Iberia parishes, and that will be reflected on our next slide here, where we see rain bands developing near the coast, and they'll be moving inland periodically today, tonight, and tomorrow across southwest Louisiana and south central Louisiana. So it's not going to be probably 100% coverage all the time. It's going to be periodic times of rain bands moving across the I-10 corridor from Lake Charles to Lafayette down to the coastal areas of Cameron all the way over to Morgan City. I will note on our radar picture here that we do have a flash flood warning still in effect. I believe some of these might be flash flood emergencies in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana due to the extreme rainfall that we've seen so far today, or not today, over the last several days. Here's a graphic that shows the forecast track. It's a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm right now, and that's where they keep it at for landfall projections. You see the forecast point at 1 p.m. They have it inland across Cameron Parish. So landfall will be sometime tomorrow morning or midday, and then they have it basically moving northeast across our forecast area in central Louisiana by Thursday morning at 1 a.m. But still, the storyline for this event is going to be predominantly the surge and the heavy rain and flooding impacts. There'll be a wind and surge impact locally for where this thing is making landfall, but that's not the bigger storyline for this event. This graphic here shows the rain totals in the last 4 days across our area. The white zone is over 20 inches. Looking at some of the gauges, that we have access to in Jefferson and Harvey counties. We know that some places have as much as 35 inches of rain now, storm total in that area. So some very large numbers, and we've got more to come. For East Texas, the values are between 8 to 18 inches, 8 inches in Newton County, 18 inches in parts of Tyler County. Southwest Louisiana has 10 to 20 inches of rain. The 20-inch areas is in the Johnson Bayou region, as well as east of Grand Lake, heading into southeastern Calcasieu Parish, kind of southwest of the Bell City Hayes area. So a good swath of 14 to 18 inches is seen all across the eastern sections of Calcasieu Parish. A lot of that occurred last night and caused some significant flood problems in that area. Over in south central Louisiana, the totals are between 3 to 10 inches. 3 inches is closer to the actual Atchafalaya Basin. The 10 inches is over in western sections of Vermilion Parish. And up in central Louisiana, it varies quite extreme as well. 2 inches up in northeastern sections of Rapides and the Boyles parishes. 10 inches is closer to the Sabine River in Vernon Parish. So here's what we're looking at forecast-wise from the rain totals over the next couple of days. This is today's scenario. The pink indicates 10 to 15 inches of rain. So parts of southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana will be having the potential for 10 to 15 inches of rain due to the rain bands moving in the area. The red zone, East Texas and south central Louisiana, we're looking at 5 to 10 inches of rain. Further up into central Louisiana, it's more like 3 to 5 inches of rain. For tomorrow, the values look like this. They're carrying 5 to 10 inches for southeast Texas and western sections of Louisiana. I wouldn't be surprised if they need to move that red zone, the 5 to 10 inch range, into parts of Acadiana, the Lafayette district as well, depending on where the rain band's set up tomorrow. So just be aware of that. But right now they're saying 3 to 5 inches from Alexandria down to Lafayette. All right, the next graphic that we're looking at is our AHAPS page, our river forecast page. There's a link there to see it for yourselves when you have time after the conference call. The purple dots on here are the major flood points, and you notice there's a lot of them on here. The ones that we're going to be focusing on, the Pineline Bayou at Sour Lake and Bevel Oaks, is going to be a record flood. Major flooding, Village Creek at Kuntz, the Neches River at Saltwater Barrier in Beaumont, Bundick Creek at Bundick Lake, Calcasieu River, Oton Bay, by Nepeke, Brazil, Mermentau River near Mermentau. I'll also notice that the Neches River up there at Laughlin also has it going to major flood as well. That will impact what's going to go on down the Neches River as well. We'll talk about that here on our next slide. We're looking at a 4-panel for some of the critical rivers over in southeast Texas. The top left picture is Village Creek near Kuntz. It's going to go up to 30 feet now for a forecast crest sometime between Thursday and Friday. We're already past the major flood category, so this will become the second highest flood of record over in Kuntz. This will be the only thing that was, this is going to be the flood from 2006, probably a little bit higher than what we saw for that one there. Pineline Bayou is in the bottom left. We're advertising there to go up to 38.7. That's at least a foot higher than the 94 flood, which is the record flood on Pineline Bayou. So for people that remember the 94 flood and what happened in the Bevel Oaks area and along the east of Sour Lake communities, both the Harvey County and the Jefferson County side, it's a very significant flood, record-breaking flood that we were advertising there on Pine Island Bayou. The two on the right, the top one is the saltwater barrier gauge on the Neches River, and we're forecasting it to kind of have a flat crest up around 12 feet later on this week and into the weekend. It potentially could go higher than that, depending on how much water comes down the Neches River and is being released from forecast points further to the north, how much rain ends up falling up in the Neches River basin north of this area. But right now we're going up to a major flood of 12 feet. This will be causing major flooding in northwest Orange County. And then the bottom right, the Neches River at Beaumont, we're forecasting it to get over 13 feet, which is, if that happens, will be actually higher or very close to the record of the 1994 flood. And of course, there's going to be impacts associated with that for industry and residents along the Neches River on both the Orange County side as well as the Jefferson County side. We're talking about the cities of Beaumont, Port Neches, Groves area, even in the sections of outside of the levee areas, down around the Port Arthur area. On the Orange County side, the Rose City area is going to be something to be focusing on for that spot as well, and maybe even some outlying areas near Vidor. Over in Louisiana, the Bundick Creek at Bundick Lake is on the top left picture. The crest of 101, it will be very similar to what we saw earlier this year in the April of 2017 flood crest. The bottom left is the Calcasieu River at Old Town Bay. They're forecasting it to go to 8.5, which is about a foot higher than what it is right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see that forecast be changed to go higher than that, but even with it at an 8.5, it's major flooding on Goss Ferry Road in that area there. Nepicat Brazil is the top right, the forecast crest getting right at the major flood category. That will be very similar to the May 2017 flood crest. And the Mermentau River at Mermentau, we're forecasting a crest near 9 feet, and that would be a little bit higher than what we saw back in May earlier this year for reference points. So not as high as the flood for the Mermentau from last year, but higher than the one that we had earlier this year. Finally, looking at the tornado potential, we're looking at a slight risk, which is 50% across parts of southeast Texas, southwest, and south central Louisiana today, and then a marginal risk of 5% for tomorrow across the entire area. I wouldn't be surprised if they have to bump up tomorrow to a slight risk at some point, but we don't have a tornado watch out yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have one at some point issued for our area. Expect to see isolated tornado reports. We had another one yesterday down in Cameron Parish near Johnson Bayou, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see some more coming out today. The storm surge threat at the coast, we're advertising at 1 to 3 feet above ground level during high tides. The next high tide, we're coming out of one right now, so we're going towards a low tide right now, later on this afternoon and evening. The next high tide is going to be late tonight between 12:42 a.m. and 1:48 a.m. And then the next high tide beyond that would be Thursday morning, Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, 1:27 a.m. to 2:31 a.m. Obviously, of these two tides, I would expect the one tonight to be the higher one, and the one Thursday should be a little bit less, but the threat will probably still be there for that early Thursday morning high tide as well. The risk areas we've been focusing on: Sabine Path, Holly Beach, downtown Cameron, Creole, Kelso Bayou near Hackberry, Rutherford Beach, over in Vermilion Parish, Pecan Island, Intracoastal City, Delcom, and then over in St. Mary Parish, the Sycamore Point and Burns Point areas. But the note here, similar to what we were saying yesterday, inland locations like Beaumont, the City of Orange, Lake Charles, Lake Arthur, you're going to see flooding in your locations because the rivers, the Mermentau, the Calcasieu, the Sabine, the Neches, are not going to be draining effectively due to the storm surge backing up these rivers. So when the rain falls, expect to see those areas have significant flood issues during those times. Here's our wind graphics to get what kind of wind speeds we're looking at. Strong winds will be out in the coastal waters later on today. We're expecting along the I-10 corridor today, maybe wind gusts up in that 25-mile-an-hour range, perhaps 30 miles an hour today down along the coastline. And then tonight, the winds will be increasing and moving a little bit further inland. You can see we're looking at 30-mile wind gusts along the I-10 corridor. And then on Wednesday, during the daytime, the panel on the right, we've got a very large area of all of our Louisiana area being a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust as well. In terms of the potential top-end wind speeds, I'm thinking 45 miles an hour, which is what the strength of the storm is right now. That's probably what the top wind speeds will be for the gust tomorrow near the coast, especially in Cameron Parish and perhaps Vermilion Parish. So that could occur as early as tonight and then probably during the morning hours on Wednesday. So just be aware of that. So in summary, Harvey is a weak tropical storm moving northeast towards the southwest Louisiana coast with a landfall projection late Wednesday morning around or maybe midday in Cameron Parish as a tropical storm. A major storyline is still the heavy rain and dangerous flood threat. It's ongoing in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana. Storm totals, when it's all said and done, will be in the 30 to 45-inch range in parts of southeast Texas. The system's not expected to strengthen significantly from the wind perspective, but due to the track forecast, we've extended the tropical storm warning now It's in Jefferson County and Cameron Parish. It's also in Vermilion, Iberia, and St. Mary parishes as well. Expect to see some wind gusts in the 30 to 45-mile-an-hour range near the coast in the warning area, especially late tonight into Wednesday morning. Further inland on the I-10 corridor, the wind gusts should be in the 25 to 35-mile range today through Wednesday, and it will probably extend further inland into central Louisiana during the day Wednesday as Harvey tracks further inland during the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night. The storm surge factor is 1 to 3 feet above ground level. We have a storm surge watch across those areas of Jefferson County, Cameron, Vermilion, Iberia, and St. Mary parishes. The additional rainfall totals that we're looking at, 6 to 12 inches in southeast Texas, 4 to 8 in southwest Louisiana, 3 to 6 in south central and central Louisiana, with the caveat that we could see potentially locally higher amounts depending on where some heavy rain bands develop over the next 2 days. Record river flooding on Pineland Bayou at Sour Lake and Bevel Oaks. Major flooding for Village Creek near Coons, Nature's River at Saltwater Barrier in Beaumont, Bundick Creek near Bundick Lake, Calcasieu River at Old Town Bay, Bayou Nepake near Bazille and Mermentau at Mermentau, and isolated tornado threat today and tomorrow. So our plan, we'll be doing another one of these briefings this afternoon at 4:30 p.m. like we've been doing recently. And let me take a moment here to unmute the phone lines, and we'll see what kind of questions we have.
Okay, we're going to go quickly into the weather briefing. We got some other people that want to speak. So, Andy, if you would go with the weather.
Okay, thanks, Dick. I'm just going to go through the impacts, review some of the weather impacts real quick from Harvey, which is, again, forecasted to make landfall across somewhere around, we think, Cameron Parish Wednesday morning. From a wind perspective, we're expecting winds to potentially reach along the I-10 corridor up to 45 miles per hour. We've heard around the parish about trees falling down due to the weakness of the roots weakening due to the heavy rainfall. So the winds may aggravate that a little bit. So we may obviously have some issues with that and potentially power outages. Rainfall, Roger summarized quite well. We are expecting 4 to 8 inches with the potential for 10 to 15 inches with these rain bands. And we're constantly monitoring the radar, and not only for bursts of heavy rain with the rain bands, but we've been issuing quite a number of tornado warnings as well, because these storms kind of spin up on radar and can really, again, produce, we call them EF0 tornadoes, where the winds don't normally get above 65, 70 miles per hour, and it's quite local, but still can be very dangerous, could easily topple mobile homes. The storm surge 1 to 3 feet, and that will be an issue primarily because, especially along the Calcasieu River, inland locations, drainage of any sort of heavy rain along with that storm surge is going to really prevent any water from getting out. So, and that's really about it. The system should lift north of the area Wednesday night into Thursday, but we still may have to contend with some rain bands even this far south, despite that system moving up into Arkansas on Wednesday and Thursday. So, any questions?
Okay, thank you, Andy. Obviously, because of some of the events that happened last night, this is much more serious now. We have this tropical storm approaching us. On the display up here are the little blue symbols are where people were rescued from their homes last night. Paul, if you could zoom in just a little bit. As you can see, most of this is on the east side of Lake Charles. I'm going to ask the sheriff to comment on some of this also. This is the primary target area. As you see, there were some out in Highway, there's some in Bell City, Hayes, but predominantly we're talking about Highway 14 from 210 north to Broad Street, or maybe a little bit further up. We had 126 calls for service. That roughly equates to somewhere between 350 to 450 people if you use 3 or 4 people per call. We had an excellent response. Lake Charles Sheriff's Office, Wildlife and Fisheries, Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries, National Guard, and a number of other volunteers and other agencies out there helping out. So everyone pitched in. Everyone was rescued out from their locations. No injuries that we know of were reported. So with that, I want to turn it over to Sheriff Mancuso.
Yeah, I want to kind of echo the same things to our partners. All the police departments in the surrounding area, the fire departments did a great job yesterday. Major Duplessis with the National Guard, quickly, Wildlife and Fisheries. Everybody was on the same page and did a great job, and we got through it pretty quickly and efficiently as it can be done. But I'm going to say this, yesterday evening we started kind of going door to door when we realized we were making our assessments and the water was getting high. We asked people to think about their safety, and if they were willing to get out of the house, we would like to get them out before dark. Well, I'm going to say the same thing right now. We're not going to escape this today. At some point, somewhere in our parish, we don't know the exact location, we're going to get more rain. And we can get up to, I think, 6 to 10 inches between now and, did Andy leave?
I think that was the worst case. Yes.
Okay. So, that's the worst case scenario, but it's that area that I can tell you this area right here, if they get an inch or two, it's going to be back to where it was last night. Now, west of the river, I think they can afford a little more than that, but if they get any significant amount, then we're going to have a lot of problems on the west side of the river. So I'm going to say it again. I've said it all week long. I just don't want people to get complacent or let their guard down. Now is not the time to do that. Give you the same message we've been giving you probably for the last 5 or 6 days is keep your guard up, pay attention to the news and your news outlets about what's going on. That's most important right now. And if you are prone to flooding, there's a high probability that that's going to happen. We're going to do some assessments again today, and we'll probably go door to door again like we did yesterday at some point if we feel like they're in danger. That's a pretty good indication and hint that we think we're concerned enough to go talk to you that, we're not going to make you get out of your house. We're just going to strongly suggest it. So, we're looking at more flooding this afternoon, and we just can't tell you exactly where that's going to take place. But there's not a place in Calcasieu Parish that is not saturated right now at this point. So anything we get, it depends on where it happens, is how bad it's going to happen. So, again, all I can do is plead to you and say if you want us to get you out and help you get out, we're going to get you out, and we're either going to bring you to a location you want to go to or find you a place to go to that's safe. We're not going to dump you off in an unsafe area. We're going to put you in a safe place, but you got to do your part, and that's all we're asking you to do. Night time's in about 8 or 9 hours, and it sure helps us if we do it during the daytime hours and not during the nighttime hours. Criminal-wise, we haven't had a whole lot of criminal activity. We've had some. So things have been pretty good here as far as people on their best behavior. So there's no question in my mind that people are going stir crazy, ready to get out of their houses. I get that, especially our children. I'm sure moms and dads and grandparents their patience is wearing thin. So I think if we survive this through about midday tomorrow, at least maybe the worst of it will be done. I don't think we're out of the clear till later on in the end of the week, maybe into the weekend, because some of these areas that are still getting saturated, if they get a downpour, my understanding, they can still flood. It may not be in the what we would call catastrophic or dangerous area, but they still can flood and get water in their houses. So I don't think we're by any means over with this, but the next 24 hours could be critical in some areas. So last time I'm pleading with you to think about your personal safety and think about the safety of the men and women that work for you. Your fire department, your wildlife and fisheries, our National Guard, your sheriff's deputies. Consider us that we have a job to do, and it could be, make it as safe for us too. If you do your part, then we all go home at night too, and back to our families. So, unless we have any questions, or any of the chiefs that are here, or did I miss anything, or Captain, State Police, Benny? All right. Yes, sir.
Could you use a mic, please, so we can?
Look, just press that button on that, and let go of it. Press it and let go.
Can someone talk about what happened out in Iowa last night?
It depends how you define highway. The only thing we had really significant is rescues. I think Highway and the mayor's here. I did talk to the chief. I think he said he had 7 from Highway rescued last night. I think Dick already alluded total somewhere between 350 to 450 rescues last night. I know the sheriff's office did 50, and then the rest of the agencies, Wildlife Fisheries, the National Guard, the fire department probably got the bulk of those. The Lake Charles Fire Department probably got the bulk of those. Lake Charles Police Department, of course. Everybody did their part. We're not trying to keep count. It really doesn't matter how many we go to. We're going to go to however many we have to. I think I said that yesterday too. It doesn't matter. We're going to get to you. If you call us for help, we're going to come to your aid and we're going to help you. Simple as that. That's what our job is. All we're asking you to do is be mindful that if we do it in the daylight hours, it's just a lot safer. So that's it. We're going to come no matter what. Doesn't matter what time it is. So is that what you were talking about? Or did something happen that?
No, I'm just looking for a general narrative.
Okay. Again, criminal activity. Can't say we haven't had any, but it's been pretty quiet. Hope it stays that way. All right.
Thanks, Sheriff. We're going to ask President Guidry to come up, and then some of the mayors have some comments as well.
Thank you, Dick. And I just want to echo a little bit of what Sheriff Tony Mancuso said. I think his staff, his department, and the Coast Guard and Wildlife and Fishery did an outstanding job last night in going out in the middle of the night and helping a lot of these people that needed help. A lot of the calls that I received last night were from family members that had elderly parents that were in homes. We want to ask, if you're in an area that's prone to flood, and if you have parents that are elderly, please call us and let us know so that we can get them out, because that seems to be the hardest situation that we can deal with, is to have elderly folks that can't get to a phone or have any means to call us or get us. So please, kids, if you have parents that are in those areas that will flood, because it's going to get pretty bad this evening and tonight, and we just want to make sure that we have them out of harm's way, because that's the ones we want to get out first. And another thing, if you're rescuing these elderly people, we ask that someone ask them to please take their meds. We had an incident last night that one of the people that we rescued didn't have their meds, and it could have been a little bit of a worse situation, but we're asking that if you have meds, please ask if there's any meds that need to be taken with them. Please take their meds with them. And also, for what Sheriff Mancuso talked about a little bit more, is that we know everybody's kind of getting stir crazy being at home because you can't go anywhere and the kids are there and stuff. We're asking you, please don't get on the roadways unless it's absolutely necessary, because right now we've been doing pretty good of keeping people off the roadways, and we just want to continue that. And we just want to be an example for any other municipalities throughout the state as to how we do it right here in Calcasieu Parish. And I just want to commend everybody for all that you've done up to this point. It's been excellent. And with that, I just want to thank all of you for what you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Guidry. Mayor Hunter?
Thank you. We did have several incidents, quite a few incidents in Lake Charles last night, the Terrace area and some areas in East Lake Charles. I think the biggest thing that I can say to Lake Charles citizens right now is, if you flooded last night, and even if the water receded, there is a very good chance and a very likely chance that you may flood again tonight. So for those people that are in those flood-prone areas, those individuals that saw water last night, those individuals that got kind of scared last night and maybe didn't pull the trigger, tonight may be the night. So again, as Sheriff Tony Mancuso said, it's a lot easier to offer you help and assistance during the day today than it will be tonight at midnight. We will come, as the sheriff said, if we have to at midnight. But if you're concerned, if you're feeling scared right now, if you're worried about your house flooding tonight, pull the trigger and let us help you today over the next few hours. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Duncan.
Even though last night we dodged a big bullet in West Calcasieu, we definitely cannot take our guard off at all. We have the potential for the heavy rain today. And the same thing, if you live in a flood-prone area and you flooded before, take your necessary precautions now. We're set up. Chief Dan's ready to assist in any rescues that we have to do in any flood areas. We have a potential south of town in the Carlos area with some land that we annexed there. This morning it was still had a lot of water out there, and we need precautions there. But the main thing again is if there's a barricade, use the precaution. Don't go around the barricades. Don't run through high water. And the whole key about getting on the road is patience. Be patient when you're on the road. You know, you can run through that high water, and somebody that hasn't flooded, you push the water up and you flood it. And parents, watch your kids. Don't let them out on the road. We have these big trucks. They like to go sightseeing. You know, keep them in. I know it's hard to keep them in right now. They're getting anxious because there's no school going on, but try to keep them busy. We've had reports of ATVs pulling wakeboards south of town. You know how dangerous that is. I mean, we had a boating accident. You know, learn from the boating accident. When you go wide, you could hit something. You don't know where them mailboxes or poles are and that, so be careful there. But Sulphur, we're ready. We still have some sandbag operations going on right now. So if you need anything after hours, the main number is 527-4550. That gets you directly into the police department. If not, call 911 and we'll be there to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan. Mayor Hardy?
As far as Westlake, we've been very fortunate. We drain to the river, so basically the swimming pool's full. So as we get the tidal surge come up, the Shady Lane area and alongside the river, get ready, it's coming. So far, every road is passable. We haven't had any problems. We've been very fortunate. I think the weather was 20 inches to the east side, and on the other side of the river, it was only about 11 or 12 total. So we've drained out, but the pool's full. So we have people at City Hall this morning answering the phone, giving the directions and stuff like that. But we'll look at it again tomorrow. Public Works is there. We have a little bit of sand left in some bags, plenty of bags, but you can't even get sand. As Mayor Stinson in Vinton, he runs a business like that. I said, you have to be full. Where you're getting your sand, you can't get it anymore. So we've gave 7-8 days. I think the parish has done a great job out at Burton. There's people from Westlake going there too, because we can't fill them as fast, but we appreciate everybody working together. Just remember, we can't control the weather, but we can control ourselves. So we're going to do the best we can. Hopefully we get a break ever so often. But like Tony said, we've already had some trees fall over, take out power lines over toward my area, and the big oak trees are gonna, the water oaks don't have it. They're gonna shake with 20 miles, 30-mile-an-hour winds. Look for that. So other than that, let's all take care of each other. And I want to commend Sheriff Mancuso and the parish. Let me tell you, we have a meeting before this, and it's all one, and everybody's in it together. And no matter what I need, I know I can call Tony. I can call Chris. Just stay together. They need us. We can call us. We small, but we're effective. I want to let you know that, Sheriff. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Hardy. Mayor Hannigan, any comments? Mayor Ponche? Mayor Stinson? Okay. I just want to wrap up with one thing, and it's really an announcement about the sand issue that's been mentioned a couple of times. We are out of sand now at the Burton Coliseum and probably running out of sand at the other sandbag locations. We, as the Mayor Hardy just mentioned, we don't have any way to replenish that. The supplies that we have water on them. So we're sorry that happened, but it's really beyond our control because of the weather. So best of luck to everyone. Yeah, one other thing, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but we had a tremendous amount of volunteers that helped us last night, and all of these organizations, the Cajun Navy, the the Cajun Special Forces, and all of those volunteers. We had people here from Baton Rouge, Gonzales, Crowley, all over the place. And we just want a special thanks to those because they're doing that on their own time, with their own equipment, with their own money. So we want to continue to support that. Any questions? Oh, Carl, I'm sorry. Superintendent Brookhouse, announcement about schools.
While we would certainly love to have our 33,000 students and 5,000 employees back in some sense of normalcy tomorrow, and as soon as we can do that, as you see from the forecast, that's not going to be prudent for tomorrow, Wednesday. So schools will be closed again tomorrow with the storm approaching us tomorrow morning. We really can't be in schools with a tropical storm sitting over us tomorrow. So, and with the flooding we've had in some of our areas, buses will be hard pressed to pick up children as well. So Calcasieu Parish schools will be closed tomorrow on Wednesday. We will notify everybody tomorrow during the day about Thursday. We have fingers crossed, and certainly if there's a way, we'll get back in school Thursday if we possibly can.
Any questions for Superintendent Brookhouse before he leaves? Okay. Any other issues, any other operational or other issues that we need to bring up today before we conclude? We'll have another briefing here at 4:30 this afternoon. We'll see you then. Thank you.